Welcome back. In this new video, I'm going to be sharing a short story. And this is the extraordinary, incredible story of a young boy named Calvin Graham. This is the story I want to share with you. Calvin Graham, the youngest American to serve in World War II. Calvin was one of 7 children in a poor East Texas family, headed by an abusive stepfather. In 1941, at the age of 11, he left home to live in a boarding house, supporting himself by selling newspapers on the street and delivering telegrams at night. When Pearl Harbor was attacked, he decided to enlist himself. He had been following the war headlines in the papers he sold. He hated Hitler, he said, because Führer reminded him of his stepfather. Calvin didn't look anything close to enlistment age, so he practiced shaving his pubescent face in the hope it could give him some stubble, and tried to deepen his voice, which hadn't yet cracked. He forged his mother's signature on the enlistment papers, but they needed to be notarized. He and some friends knew a local innkeeper who kept a notary stamp at his front desk. The kids reported a fire on an upper floor and grabbed the stamp when the hotel manager rushed upstairs. Calvin passed the medical doctor's examination without a hitch, but then a dentist took a look in his mouth and saw baby teeth. "You are 12, he said. "Get out of here." "Yeah," Calvin responded, "but those guys ahead of me were only 14, and you passed them. If you don't pass me also, I'll go to your superior." The dentist moved Calvin along. The Navy had lost a lot of sailors by August 1942, and they needed every hand. After only 3 weeks of boot camp, Calvin got trained as an anti-aircraft gunner and was assigned to the battleship USS South Dakota. In October, he steamed out as part of a task force with the carrier USS Enterprise to engage the enemy at Guadalcanal. Calvin saw his first action just southeast of Guadalcanal, off the Santa Cruz Islands, when the South Dakota shot down 26 Japanese planes attempting to sink the Enterprise. 3 weeks later, the South Dakota joined the 4-day naval battle of Guadalcanal, where it fought in ramming range with 8 Japanese destroyers. Calvin's ship took an enormous beating with major damage, 40 killed and 180 wounded, including Calvin. Calvin had been manning the guns when he caught shrapnel in his face and arm. Some of his teeth were knocked out, yet along with his gunnery officer, one Sergeant Shriver, Calvin began tending the words off. "I took belts off the dead and made tourniquets for the living and gave them cigarettes and encouraged them all night," he later said. "It was a long night. It aged me. I didn't do any complaining because half the ship was dead." The South Dakota limped back to the Brooklyn Navy Yard as newsreel cameras captured the return of what the press called Battleship X for security purposes. Back in Crockett, Texas, Calvin's mother saw the footage in the local theater and exclaimed, "That's my son," Calvin had told her. He was visiting relatives out of state. His mother complained to the Navy about recruiting a 12-year-old. The Navy responded by taking away Calvin's medals and issuing him a dishonorable discharge, but not before subjecting him to 3 brutal months in the brig. So there he was. On April 1, 1943, a wounded war veteran without disability benefits, still not yet a teenager. Instead of finishing grade school, Calvin got a job in a shipyard and got married. He became a father at 15 and divorced at 17. In 1948, he got drafted and decided to join the Marine Corps. He broke his back in a freak accident and was back selling magazine subscription as a civilian. His face and arm wounds from 1942 started giving him trouble as he aged, so he sought to win an honorable discharge for his World War II service. His effort got nowhere until 1977, when the United States Senators Lloyd Bentsen and John Tower took up the cause. The following year, President Jimmy Carter approved the converted discharge and restored all his medals but the Purple Heart. Calvin's story reached a national stage in 1988 when the CBS released the made-for-TV movie Too Young the Hero, starring Rick Schroeder as Calvin. The movie brought in a little money for Calvin before his death in 1992 at the age of 62. 2 years later, the Navy reinstated Calvin's Purple Heart. History tried to forget him. His own government tried to erase him, but his story survives because some acts of courage are too powerful to bury. Calvin Graham was 12 years old when he became a hero, and no bureaucrat, no policy, no dishonorable discharge could ever take that away from him. Remember his name, because if a child could show that kind of courage, the least we can do is to refuse to let him be forgotten. And this is the incredible story of this young boy hero I want to share with you today. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.